Does everybody remember where they were when the Switch 2 was announced, that big announcement trailer, and then a few months later they had that conference? It was a good moment, it was pretty cool, the Switch 2 getting announced. I mean, obviously that's going to be a big deal, but the thing is, before that happened, there were months, maybe even years actually, of speculation and, different quote-unquote leaks that occurred, now most of them were fake, I feel like. You got a lot of the, I've got the insider information, here's all of these schematics. But you see, there was actually a company, a third-party hardware company, that months before the Switch 2 was announced, they were willingly given this info out to pretty much anyone that wanted to hear it, allegedly, of course. And the thing is, Nintendo did not like that, so very shortly after Nintendo did announce the Switch 2, they sued this company, and just now, an agreement has been reached, the settlement has been reached, and now they owe Nintendo a certain amount of money. That specific amount we actually don't know right now. So the official court document was dated 6 days ago on September 8th. It's kind of short. Basically, it's just a settlement. Obviously, it's not going to outline everything in the lawsuit. We see right here, this is Nintendo of America versus Human Things Incorporated and Genki. The thing is, Genki is kind of the company in question that was allegedly leaking all of this info, and Human Things, they are the parent company. And we see here that this is all a settlement from Nintendo accusing them of trademark infringement, unfair competition, and false advertising. It's definitely quite a lot, and I'll get a little bit more into the allegations here in a little bit because it is definitely interesting, but just as far as the settlement goes, as I said, Genki now owes an undisclosed amount of money. It says plaintiff is awarded judgment on its claims against defendant with payment in an agreed upon amount that represents the plaintiff's damages pursuant to the confidential terms to the agreement. It's important to note, the reason I am saying allegedly a bunch here is because the thing with a settlement, or at least this kind of settlement with the wording, the thing is that Human Things and Genki, they are not admitting guilt here. It's purely just a settlement. People, of course, can come to their own conclusion, but that's really all that it is. But in addition to this undisclosed amount of money, there is a permanent injunction on Genki and Human Things, and it lists a bunch of stuff. I really only just listed a few of it here where the page cut off. There's another page as well. It basically just says that there is a permanent injunction now against these two companies from basically associating in a bunch of different ways with Nintendo, and by the wording of it, it's also involving language where it says like the company can't mimic or represent Nintendo in some sort of perceived way. Okay, I lied. I am going to show a little bit of the second page here just because it is really ridiculous, but also really funny, the stuff that this company now can't use. It literally says they are now prohibited from using elements in its product packaging, product designs, product descriptions, marketing, or branding that replicate or are confusingly or substantially similar to Nintendo's core color schemes, namely the following color combinations. These are red and white, red and blue, green and pink, blue and yellow, purple and orange, pink and yellow, and finally purple and green. I'm very confused as far as these colors go. I guess red is kind of the signature color for Nintendo these days, but other than that, pink and yellow, okay, maybe that's Princess Peach, but like blue and yellow, is that like the Wizard Koopa guy from like Super Mario Bros? And like green and pink, who is green and pink in the Nintendo universe? I don't know, just kind of interesting. Now, to summarize kind of the lore behind all of this with Genki and Human Things and kind of just what happened over the past few months, namely the months leading up to the Switch 2. I've put part of the Video Games Chronicle right here, so I have linked it in the description, but this kind of summarizes it pretty well. This is all alleged, of course, and this was in the original complaint from Nintendo months ago, but it says that basically in January there was this big conference, and Genki, they were apparently happy to discuss any Switch 2 info that they have as well as stuff they are making for it. And then the CEO allegedly showed off the 3D printed mock-ups of the Switch 2. It was also claimed that at this conference, actual Nintendo lawyers approached Genki literally on the show floor, and despite them allegedly trying to have them basically stop showing off the Switch 2 stuff, they did it anyway. So yes, if that is all true, very interesting stuff. I even remember the day of the Switch 2 conference, they were going to basically have a conference like right after it or right before it or something that was apparently going to show off stuff on the Switch 2 and even their mock-up, I guess, of the Switch 2, which included their basically their copycat of the Switch 2 called the Glitch 2. I'm not kidding. This is an Instagram post talking about that conference. I want to point out too that in this permanent injunction, it does say that they cannot use the name Glitch or Glitch 2 anymore for these consoles. And again, that they have to stop doing stuff that basically makes their products hard to differentiate between like official Nintendo products. So in my opinion, I feel like this console will basically be no more. Sorry everybody that was really into the Glitch 2. I'm sure it had a great lifespan. Interestingly enough, when we go on the website for Genki, they show what to me appears to be like actual, again, Nintendo products. When, to my understanding with that court document, I thought that they really could no longer associate with this kind of stuff, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's just a certain line they can't cross and they are not crossing it, or maybe they even have a certain amount of time for them to like take this stuff down from their website. Who really knows? And who really knows how much money they actually do now owe Nintendo? But I am sure that Genki, they will no longer be quote-unquote impersonating Nintendo or its products ever again, and they certainly won't be leaking any schematics ever again because it has cost them, I would presume, quite a bit.